It already sounded like North Carolina had closed the door on Kentucky transfer Ugonna Onyenso, but on Tuesday, that thing officially slammed shut. And also, I'm hearing some weird landing spots for Coleman Hawkins.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, June 6, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. I want to thank you for making us your first listen or watch. Big shout out to all you everydayers out there, as well as all the members of the great Locked On Tar Heels Discord community. So glad you're all here. If you're not an everydayer, if you're not part of that community, man, we would love to have you be a regular part of this show. It's awesome and the community's growing all the time. This episode's brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Hey, coming up on the show today, Ugonna Onyenso and Trevin Brazil are officially off the board. The North Carolina State Legislature is still trying to force Carolina to play state in 3 other state schools, and there were some fans that helped the Diamond Heels on Monday night close out the regional. One of them joins me later on for a super fun discussion. Don't miss out on that. All right, we're going to start with this college basketball news, though. On Tuesday, we learned that Ugonna Onyenso was in fact committing to Kansas State. There's that. Although it was expected, I guess I should say, but it's still weird. Like in real time, it was expected, but zooming out, it's like, really? All right. And then this one I did not expect at all, but Trevin Brazil, decides to return to Arkansas to play for John Calipari, becoming the Hogs' 9th scholarship player for this upcoming season. Really did not think that was going to happen. No, obviously Carolina wasn't connected to Brazil at all. But I was hopeful that they would. They never did. That's okay. There's lots of guys out there, but we still wait and see. I'm still holding on to what Coach Rob and I talked about last week, that Carolina is, quote, not officially done, from a source of ours that we have. But I want to talk about first Ugonna Onyenso, and then some weird potential landing spots for Coleman Hawkins. We'll get there. So Onyenso, I really wanted to see the potential of what this team could look like with him, particularly because he brings a skill set that North Carolina currently doesn't have. And specifically by that, I think about rim protection, that size that he has. He is not an elite offensive player. I wouldn't even call him a great or strong offensive player, but he'll do things. But you add him because of what he can bring on the other side of the ball. And you just, for a couple reasons, you don't know the depth that you need, is what happens if Jalen Washington gets hurt, one of those surgically reconstructed knees, right? Do you have what you need? And so I think Onyenso could have been a helpful piece for Carolina and could have been some good injury insurance or foul trouble insurance, whatever you want to look at it. But he's going to go be a Kansas State Wildcat. And so that door, while we already believed from what we were hearing and learning that Carolina had closed the door on Onyenso, but now that thing's done and gone. Now, I want to move to the Coleman Hawkins side of things, where, look, I know some of you listening are like, dude, no, Isaac, I do not want Coleman Hawkins. And I know others of you are like, Coleman Hawkins is the savior of the North Carolina world right now. I mean, it's wild how divided folks are on the thought of Coleman Hawkins joining North Carolina or not. Let's just set that aside for now and talk about it. Some of the latest intel that I saw on Tuesday suggests that 3 players in the Coleman Hawkins game right now are Kansas State, Louisville, and SMU. What? SMU? Really? So let me just talk about why literally all three of those are weird to me. Kansas State. Did you listen to the last 4 minutes? They just landed Ugonna Onyenso. Not to mention, they've also got Achor from Samford and Bay Fall coming in from Arkansas. Now, Onyenso is a pure 5. There's no other position that he can play. If you're playing fantasy basketball, Ugonna Onyenso would only show up on your roster with a C by his name. Ain't getting anything else out of that guy. Now, with Bay Fall, essentially similar with him. But Achor should be Kansas State's starting 4. I mean, he is a legit dude that I really hope Carolina would go after. But so if you land him and Coleman Hawkins, one of those guys is not going to be your starting 4, but they're both going to expect to be your starting 4. That could go really well, or more likely, it'd really probably not go very well at all. So the Kansas State thing doesn't make any sense to me. Louisville, they've already used all 13 of their scholarships. Go count it up on their chart. They have 1 incoming freshman, Kenai Ruths, and then 12 transfers. I'm not even joking. 12 transfers, 3 of which are coming over from Charleston with new coach Pat Kelsey. But even set that aside, it's like the playing time in the front court. They've already landed BYU's Noah Waterman. They've got South Florida's Kason Pryor, and Georgia's Frank Anselm Ibe. So similar to K-State, there's not really any room for him in the front court, or if there is, one of these other guys is going to get relegated. But also, they've already used their scholarship. So what are you going to do? Like, just say, hey, come be a walk-on and we'll get you as much NIL as we can. I mean, I guess in this day and age, we're going to see some of that. But do you really want 14 scholarship players? I don't think so. Arkansas is sitting there right now with 9. Carolina's got 11. You're talking about adding another to that? Louisville just makes zero sense to me. And then SMU. I don't even want to talk about personnel or scholarships or anything. You want to go to SMU? I mean, good grief, be my guest, I guess, but they're moving into the ACC, and it's not going to be good. Now, look, SMU has deep pockets. I have family that lives in Dallas proper, right where SMU's campus is, right around it, and we're talking like they live down the street from George and Laura Bush. They live down the street from Mark Cuban. That's what we're talking about. So SMU pockets, baby, they run deep. So that side of it, if it's really just about the bag, I get that. But if you want to win SMU, I don't know. So the Coleman Hawkins recruitment makes zero sense to me, but it's super fun to keep tabs on. Really curious to see where it goes. Okay, well, I don't get that. But if I don't understand Carolina's transfer portal offseason, if that doesn't make any sense, there's a bill working its way through the North Carolina State Legislature that's even more confounding to me. And I'm going to be on one in just a second. I'm just telling you right now. And we'll get to that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Game Time, I am so excited for the NBA Finals that starts tomorrow night, Thursday. I've actually never been to a Finals game. I'd love to go do it at some point. But some of you, I know you're like, hey, I'm in the Dallas area. You know, we just talked about SMU. Maybe somebody wants to go see game 3 or 4 or something when they're back in Dallas. Well, good news. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, a view from your seat, and a lowest price guarantee. With all of that, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. How about Game 1 of the Finals coming up tomorrow night? They've got some flash deals going on right now. Here's one of them. Section 319, row 15, 10% off from $709 down to $617. I know that's steep, but it's the NBA Finals, for crying out loud. You got to pay a lot to get there. Cheapest ticket right now on Game Time is $561. That's great. Snatch it up. Go catch the action. Well, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Oh boy, there is a bill working its way through the North Carolina State Legislature, and I didn't think this thing was going to have legs here, but here we are. I had specifically chosen not to talk on it because I thought it was silly and that it wouldn't go anywhere. But clearly, there's at least some level at which this thing is a thing. What is this thing, you ask? Well, the Associated Press put out a release on Tuesday that started this way, quote, in a move reflecting volatile and changing times in college athletics, North Carolina state legislators advanced a bill Tuesday that would require the state's two largest public universities to play each other annually in football and men's and women's basketball and play three other top public system schools regularly, end quote. You probably have heard of this. And again, like I said, I just ignored it because I was like, yes, that's just a silly thing. But now it's moving along, so I think it's time to talk about it. Here's a little bit more from the article to give some more context. Quote, under the measure which cleared the House Committee on Universities with no debate, right, the football and men's and women's basketball teams at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and NC State University would be required to play each other at least once annually starting with the 25-26 school year. The bill would also direct the Wolfpack and Tar Heels to play East Carolina University, Appalachian State University, or the University of North Carolina at Charlotte at least once every year in those three sports, end quote. I just threw my baseball down because this is downright dumb. I mean, look, I'm great playing state while we're in the same conference, and as long as that continues to go, I'm great playing those other schools every now and again when the coaches and the schedulers want to do it. Sure, fine, knock yourself out. But this is clearly put in place to safeguard things in case North Carolina leaves the ACC to try to hitch the wagon of those other schools to North Carolina, which is one of the most desirable entities in all of the college athletics landscape. That's what this is. So due respect to those other four institutions, but don't saddle the Tar Heels with that. That's insane. And you want to know where this is really coming from? Here's a little bit more from this article. Quote, meanwhile, ECU, App State, and Charlotte also all play in the top football bowl subdivision. Alumni of those schools include some powerful legislators and bill sponsors who say holding such games with the top schools benefits college town economies and challenge school athletic departments. More specifically, the bill says NC State and UNC would have to play at least one home and one away game against each of the other three schools every 6 years. Home and away games with the same school would alternate. The fans want to see these games. The players want to play these games, said bill sponsor Representative David Willis, a Union County Republican who went to App State, by the way. The coaches may have a little trepidation from time to time, but I think the business case is there and it's exciting. Look, I get helping out other schools, but what? Yeah, maybe your fans at App State want to see these games, but Tar Heel fans don't. I mean, yeah, it's fun for some, and I get it. And some people listen to the show. I know are grads of ECU or App State or Charlotte because like we talk about it. Some of you I know are in the Discord and we talk all the time. But we just got to be honest that while it's sure exciting for your fans, not that North Carolina fans aren't excited because they want to play games we want to watch, but it doesn't matter. And here's another quote from this thing. Quote, nobody really knows what's going to happen with super alignment, Willis said, that same representative. So requiring NC State and UNC to compete against each other if they end up in different conferences just makes complete sense for the state of North Carolina, end quote. No, it doesn't. It makes sense for state and it makes sense for the other three who want to hitch their wagon to the Tar Heels, but it doesn't make sense for the Tar Heels. Yes, it's fun to have the rivalry with state and to play sometimes would be great. But if these schools are in separate conferences, it doesn't make sense. Let me give you an example. Men's college basketball scheduling is already overloaded. Specifically, we would be talking about the non-conference portion of the schedule here now. In the non-con, you get 11 games. That's it, 11 games. Here's what it is typically right now. North Carolina plays 4 bye games where you get to bring in a school to the Smith Center, give them a payday, but it also helps fill out your season ticket holder schedule. It helps give opportunities to play to like younger players or new players to the program as they get all together. So you really need those 4 bye games. And that number has already been shrunk because of the 20-game ACC schedule. So 4 bye games, that's 4 of your 11. 3 games in an MTE multi-team event. That would be like the Maui Invitational or Battle for Atlantis, something like that. That's 7 of your 11. CBS Sports Classic, which is update is in for the next 3 seasons at least. ACC SEC Challenge, Jumpman Invitational. That's 10 of your 11 games. And then the 11th, last year, it was the Jimmy V Classic when Carolina went up to MSG and played reigning champion UConn. And this year and next year, by the way, that other game is Kansas. It's at Kansas this upcoming season and at Carolina the year after that. That's your 11 games. So what you're telling me is you want the Tar Heels to give up 2 of those precious 11 spots for this bill. One of them being NC State every year. And then, every so often, either ECU, App State, or Charlotte. And sure, they could be one of those bye games, but I don't know that Coach Davis wants to go play true road games at those schools. He's just not scheduling the same way that Coach Williams did. So I don't know that makes sense for him. And oh, by the way, what I need to still follow up on this because I haven't looked further into it, but do these legislators legitimately have say-so in scheduling decision? Like, can they demand that? Can they prescribe that North Carolina has to do this? Can you do that? Like, oh, I'm sorry, Coach Davis, you can't play in the Jimmy V Classic this year against reigning national champion UConn because you have to use one of your precious non-conference slots to play against State or App State or ECU, whatever it is. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't play a high-level game against Kansas because we need you to play ECU or State. So where things go from here, the bill still must clear, according to the AP article, 2 House committees before a floor vote. Willis, the guy we've been mentioning, said bill supporters have talked to the schools involved and have received no negative feedback. All right, who have you talked to? That's what I want to know. So far, and it says no negative feedback so far. He said he's also found support from officials in the state Senate, which would also have to approve such a mandate. I wonder whose alma mater those senators are from. Any final measure, though, and here's the kicker for me, baby, would go to Democratic Governor Roy Cooper, who we all know is a UNC graduate. So there's the good news. I almost want this thing to get all the way to Governor Cooper and him to just laugh at it and say, nice try. No. NC State can do it if they want to, but the Tar Heels, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but this thing seems bonkers to me, and it's just a play to hold on to something because that the Tar Heels are a golden calf or whatever it is, and it's a gravy train that you're trying to ride. Come on. Well, let's talk about more fun, happy things. Carolina is headed to the Super Regionals, and on Monday night, they were in some trouble against LSU, but as they got to extra innings, a costly outfield error got Johnny Castignazzi to second base. Did some Tar Heel fans have something to do with that? We're going to talk about that coming up in just a second with a super fun interview. Let me take you back to Monday night at Boshemer Stadium. It's the top of the 10th inning. Tied. Johnny Castignazzi comes to the plate with 2 outs, hits a shot to the fence that, quite frankly, off the bat, I thought might be a go-ahead dinger right off the bat. It wasn't, but the ball fell safely to the warning track. Why? Jake Brown for LSU, he's camped under it. He misses it. And we have a guest on the show today to help explain why that happened. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Mr. Colby Groce. Colby, why did that ball fall to the warning track on Monday night?
Man, I don't know if we can take all the credit, but we're gonna try to take some of it. In the right field of Boshemer Stadium, there's this little cutout, and my friend and many others and we sat out there during the entire weekend. And, when anything flies out to right field, if it's LSU catching it, we are letting them hear it. And so that ball flew right out, and I was shaking because if it went out, they're taking the lead. And and we were screaming, banging, yelling, anything we could do to prevent him from catching that ball. And he steps back. I thought he initially hit the wall, but he didn't. After looking at the replay, he did not even he just missed the ball.
He did.
And we were just, I can't even explain how loud we were yelling, banging on the wall. We didn't want to interfere with the play. We did not interfere with the play. There's nothing illegal about it, but we were trying to create the best home field advantage we could because, we knew we needed everything we had for that game. And I got to be honest, I was towards the end of that game, I was getting a little, we were down 3-2 and I was starting to lose hope a little bit, but that the run at the end really brought all of us back and had the entire stadium engaged.
Yeah, Colby, I want to ask you in just a second about how things were feeling there, more about that as it wound down and it was looking bleak. So you said you and your buddy are out there beyond the fence. It looked like there were several other people, maybe like a dad with a baby or something. Who else was back there with you guys?
So there was this guy beside me I'd never met before. He was awesome. I wish I caught his name. And then there was a family down there. They were really into the game. But this guy and I had talked the whole game, and towards the end of the game, I got to be honest, I'm a really pessimistic sports watcher. When I'm watching sports, I give up hope fairly easily. So top of the 9th inning, Carolina's up to bat, and it's 7, 8, and 9 in our order. So I had packed up my chair, because I didn't want to watch LSU dogpile on our field. I'm not going to sit there and watch that. So I had told the people I was with, I said, all right, let's get, prepared to leave if we need to. And right when I pack up that chair, we start swinging, flying, RBIing just every which way. And the guy beside me said he was the most superstitious person in the world. He said, I'm not allowed to sit down for the rest of the game.
That's right.
I did not sit down for the entirety of the 9th inning or the 10th inning. I stood between innings. We did not sit down at all. So, yeah, it was a big group of people down there, and they were all engaged. I think Boschmer Stadium as an entirety was just I've been to a lot of Carolina sporting events, and Carolina takes on this stereotype as wine and cheese, and that was anything but wine and cheese, what we experienced this weekend.
So I first, Colby, became aware of this. I saw your tweet after the game on Monday night. For those of you that haven't seen it, Colby tweeted, quote, "Those of us in the outfield would like to take partial credit for being in number 18's ear as he made the drop of a lifetime." Man, I love how you phrased that, drop of a lifetime. We will accept our medals of honor whenever most convenient. And so, folks, all the finest wines and cheeses of the land need to go to Colby and that crew out there beyond the right field fence for getting Johnny Castagnazzi to second base. Now, Colby, I'm going to be talking to Johnny later on this week on the show. We're obviously going to replay that moment. We're going to replay the foul ball that he caught up against the brick wall there. Look ahead to the Super Regionals. Look back at the walk-off against Long Island on Friday night. But, Colby, what would you say to Johnny if you were talking to him?
If you keep swinging the bat like that, we'll take care of the outfield. We'll have them as distracted as we can possibly have them. If you can hit it towards us, we will do our part.
I love it. All right, so West Virginia just doesn't even know what's in store for them with Colby and the dudes out there in right field. That's great. Colby, you talked about the atmosphere at the Bosch this weekend, and it was all weekend long. And I love that Coach Forbes had mentioned this as well. Just what a great environment that all was at the stadium, how electric it was. Was that kind of your experience? I know you were not there Friday night, right? You told me.
I was not there Friday night. I was celebrating in my backyard as the walk-off went off.
Man. But Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at all 3 LSU games you were there. Just kind of take me through like the environment of that roller coaster of winning Saturday, of Sunday, so many missed opportunities late. And then just as you said a little bit ago, things feeling a little bit bleak as we're going, things started hot Monday, but kind of tailed off. Helmer's had Carolina locked down. And then Gavin Gallagher comes up against Jump and gets it going. So just take us through the environment.
Man, I love basketball, love football. Baseball is a game of any swing of the bat can change it, and that's just what makes it really exciting. So that environment of every swing of the bat, people would go nuts or people would get down. So anyway, I mean, the way the games happened, they all played out 3 completely separate ways. And, the first game, it felt like we took control early. I think Vance. That was the Vance 2 home run game, and the crowd was feeling it. But on Sunday, obviously wasn't the way we were expecting it to go. But the crowd, I promise you, stayed more engaged than I've ever seen a Carolina crowd stay when we're down. Sometimes in basketball, the Smith Center starts to empty. We don't lose often in the Smith Center, but I'm saying, in those games where we are down, the Smith Center starts to empty because people lose hope. People never lost hope this weekend, and besides myself, I guess. But yeah, the crowd was engaged the entire time. LSU, hats off to them. They have a fantastic crowd. People say the SEC is mean and rough, but we had guys out there giving us high fives after the game and saying good game. So the LSU crowd was great. They were engaged, and I think that made our fans more engaged as well. It just felt like when you think of college sports, why people love college sports so much is because you have a connection with the school. Most teams, you have a reason why you like that school, which separates it from professional sports. And so everyone is just cheering as hard as they possibly can. And it was one of the best baseball. It was the best baseball environment I've been in.
Man, love it. Carolina has only lost 3 times this whole season at the Bosch. One of them obviously on Sunday. Hopefully they will only lose 3 times and against West Virginia this weekend, get a little sweep. So speaking of which, Colby, tell us about your predictions for the Super Regional against West Virginia. And are you going to be back in the outfield for that one?
I will absolutely be back. My high school graduation is on Saturday morning, and I had a graduation party scheduled for Saturday night. I texted everyone I knew. I said, my party will be at Boschmer Stadium. So
yes.
Yeah, I will definitely be back. As far as predictions for this weekend, I haven't watched film or anything on West Virginia. I know they're a great club. I think it was they're ranked 23rd or something in RPI. Or they're ranked 34. Do I have that right? Anyway, LSU is technically better than them in RBI. So I think our offense, I hope we're going to be able to wake up a little bit. I know they have a good
shortstop. Yeah, he's like predicted to go top 10 in this year's draft.
So obviously I'm hoping our offense gets a little, it felt like there were some games this weekend where, we came out hot, and there were some games where it took us till the 6th inning to get going on offense fully. So I hope it's a sweep. I don't really know. But the winner take all atmosphere, I would love to relive that again if, we can come out on top. I love winner take all games because there is no room for error, and everything that happened is the people next to me, we were literally all shaking when the base runner came on in the 10th, because one swing of the bat, if that goes out, our season's over. So that is what makes college sports and baseball and, all sports in general, just so great.
It really is. That's very well said. And yeah, that final out that Vance made right off the bat, that was another one that I was like, oh,
my heart skipped 10 beats.
Now, Colby, I know we're talking baseball, but you were telling me before we started recording, you had a pretty neat college basketball experience at the end of the regular season. Would you just quickly tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we were scrolling, me and my friend who's at some of the games with me this weekend, we were scrolling through Twitter, and we saw an ad before the game against Duke and Cameron Indoor. We saw an ad that said it was autographed. They were giving away 4 sets of tickets to the Carolina Duke game. So we obviously entered our name into the hat, and unfortunately so did about 4,000 other people. And so the odds were not in our favor. So they do the drawing, and we did not win. And so we immediately email some of the employees at the company, and we said, what can we do to possibly get our hands on 2 tickets in Cameron Indoor? It's been one of our goals, it's on our bucket list. What can we do? And they said, if you go on a social media platform and you post a video, if you get 50,000 views, then we will send you to the Carolina Duke game. That right when we got that text, we went right to work, and we immediately made a quick little video. It's on my Twitter if you want to go look at it. Immediately made a video just saying, hey, it's our dream to go to Carolina Duke. If you guys would just retweet this, that would be awesome. Immediately caught traction on social media. People were retweeting, liking. Joel Berry quote tweeted it. I mean, we had multiple people. And then we got to 50,000 views within, I'd say, less than 24 hours, and they gave us 48 hours to get it done. So we certainly appreciate the help of people on social media. And then so they said that they were going to give us the tickets, and then they said that someone was going to meet us outside of College game day. We always go to College game day for Carolina Duke, at Carolina and at Duke, just because, I like to experience the environment before a game. And they said someone was going to meet us outside of Cameron Indoor, and out comes a guy with 2 VIP lanyards. And so he gives us these VIP lanyards, and he says, "Follow me." So we were really confused. We had no clue where we were going. We didn't know if he was kidnapping us or what, but takes us right through the Cameron Indoor tunnel onto the court. And there stands Jay Billis, and Jay shook our hands, and we walked. He leads us on to the game day set, and as you can imagine, both of us are in Carolina gear, and we are just getting hurled every name in the book, every hand gesture in the book, and I have a video of it, and it's just, I'm glad I took the video because you can hear just the hatred that they had, and they put us right in the middle of the College game day set. They took a few pictures, and we got to watch College game day on the court at Cameron, and then we went to the game, and obviously the outcome of that game was fantastic. Then we went to Franklin Street, and RJ Davis, Armando, and Harrison all surrounded me as they got off the bus. I was just in the right place at the right time, and so got to party with those guys after the game. So that was one of the better days of my life.
Well, Colby, way to infiltrate Cameron. All Tar Heels are proud of you and your buddy for getting that done, man. That's truly a great experience. And man, what a special end to the regular season that was. So folks, as you heard Colby say, he was supposed to have his graduation party Saturday. He will have it. It's just going to be at the Bosch. He's going to be a freshman at Carolina this year. And so that's exciting. Colby, we just want to send best luck to you as you start your Carolina career. Man, I hope you have a great freshman season, and really grateful to you for coming on and regaling us with your great story from Monday night. And make sure to cause a lot more havoc this weekend.
I appreciate it. Go Heels.
Big thanks to Colby Groce for joining me. That was super fun. Love to hear about that game day experience he had, as well as how he impacted things on Monday night. So if you're at the Super Regional this weekend, head on out to the right field, just out beyond the fence, and make sure you give him a handshake and say, "What's up?" High five. Would love to see it. If you're not subscribed to the show on audio and video, we'd love to have you do that. Quick and easy to do. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, come on in, baby. The link is in the show notes. It's free to join. Come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community. I promise you, it's great. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.